What's up guys, Phoenix here, and it's that time again, although it seems like nowadays that time never truly ends, and that is the time where we start getting, the first little bits of spoilers for the newest set that's coming out in the OCG. Now, the set name of the set that is coming after Invasion of Venom, or as it's called for us, Invasion Vengeance, is Raging Tempest, and it's going to be coming out in the OCG in a couple of months. We should have the set around February of next year. So, some of the first cards have started getting spoiled from this set, and I just want to take some time to start, talking about those, start getting more current on cards that are being released in the OCG, because I've definitely fallen back on those little discussions of new cards being released in the OCG as of lately. So I want to get back on that. Invasion of Venom just wasn't a good set for me in terms of the time frame that everything was getting spoiled. But anyway, for this video, we're going to be looking at two new cards coming out in Raging Tempest, and they are the first two of the Wind Witch archetype cards, Wind Witches being the archetype that is used by Rin in the Arc 5 anime. Now, currently, all we have in terms of the entirety of the cards that we have to look at are the Tuner Monster for the archetype and one of the Boss Monster Synchros, if not the Boss Monster Synchro. I don't know if it'll be upgraded or not, or if this is just it, or if it'll get any more iterations, anything like that. But the archetype does seem to have some form of potential, but it is mainly an archetype based around burn damage. So, if that's not your thing, that you don't enjoy, from some chain burn traumatic memories, no, go away, then you probably don't want to be messing around with this. But anyway, first card is the Boss Monster Synchro, Wind Witch Winterbell. It is a level 7 Spellcaster Synchro effect monster, and it has 2400 attack and 2000 defense. And its effect is, it requires one tuner and one or more non-tuner wind monsters specifically. The tuner can be generic, non-tuner has to be wind monsters. Its effect is, you can target one Wind Witch monster in your graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its level times 200. During either player's battle phase, you can target one Wind Witch monster you control. Special summon one monster from your hand with a level less than or equal to that monster's, but it cannot attack this turn. You can only use each effect of Wind Witch Winterbell once per turn. So, you can target a Wind Witch monster you control. It doesn't say other Wind Witch monster you control. So you can target this card itself and summon anything that's level 6 or lower from your hand during either player's battle phase, but you cannot attack with it that turn. And obviously you're in the battle phase, so you're not going to be doing anything major with it there, unless you have some outlying factor like urgent tuning or something. You're really not going to be doing much with it unless it's a tune. If it was a tuner, if it's a random monster, it's just going to be there. But it does allow you to get more board presence rather quickly and efficiently. It doesn't require anything specific in the battle phase, it just has to be during the battle phase. And that is probably one of the detractors of this card overall, because if it had just been, once per turn during your main phase, it probably would have been a lot better. But overall, you still could have had that monster can't attack this turn clause attached onto it. It just would have allowed you to have more, spammable capability. It would have allowed you to actually play more cards in a turn. But overall, in terms of a first card, in terms of a synchro, this is all really well-rounded. It does support the theme. It only kind of supports the theme, actually. It really doesn't do much anywhere else. It's not really one of those things that you'd play as a generic level 7 and anything else, because every other level 7 synchro is pretty much better in the form of Ancient Fairy, Black Rose, Moonlight Rose, all these different things. You definitely have a lot of options in terms of generic level 7 synchros, so this is very much a card that can only fit in this own deck, because otherwise it literally has no effects. But it does support the archetype really well. It allows you to do more burn damage based off the level of the monster in the grave, and ultimately lets you summon more of your monsters that could potentially be doing more burn damage as well, while it's also a fairly sizable body at 24, although it's definitely not up there in the magic number ranges. 26 would have been probably a better number and still have been fair, but overall, I do really like this card. Now, second card we're going to be looking at, the second card that was spoiled alongside this, is the tuner monster that you are intended to be summoning this card with in the archetype, the Wind Witch Snowbell. This is a Wind level 1 Spellcaster Tuner effect monster, and its effect is, if you control 2 or more wind monsters and all monsters you control are wind monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. A wind synchro monster that has used this card as a synchro material cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Now, that's something that I do really like about this card. If you summon a wind synchro monster using this card as a material, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That's actually really cool and really good, in my opinion. I really, really like that last effect. And this is a level 1 tuner that can special summon itself if you control 2 or more wind monsters. Of course, you have to only control wind monsters, but that just gives you some more, combo potential. It's a tuner that can summon itself. Those have always... A tuner that can summon itself for free or special summon something else for free, those have always been really good in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, even nowadays, Blackwing Gofu is great just because it can special summon itself, and it's a tuner of a decent level. Level 1 tuners, and then anything like level 5 is usually pretty decent because of the fact that we have Ultimaya in the game now, and then level 1 tuners just add a lot of versatility. So, pretty much any level 1 tuner that can summon itself is actually just like really good on paper right off the bat, even though this does restrict you to only doing things with winds. But it also just gets better because it offers protection for whatever wind monster you summon. Now there's a very simple little combo you can do with Speedroid Terratop and this card, because the Speedroid engine is very heavily supported in this deck at its current point in time, based off the cards that we've seen and the cards that we should be expecting to see based off the anime. You can just have Terratop and this in hand. You can special Terratop, get Takatomborg. Special Takatomborg, this card can now special summon itself because you control 2 monsters that are winds. You contribute Takatomborg for Red-Eyed Dice. Red-Eyed Dice can boost Terratop's level to 6. You can synchro with Red-Eyed Dice and Terratop into Clearwing Synchro Dragon, and then you can synchro with this and Clearwing into a Crystal Wing that is immune to your opponent's card effects destruction. Like, it's immune to it's a Crystal Wing that's already really good by itself, but now it's immune to destruction, and that's very worth the 2-card investment in my eyes, considering the fact that, one, that 2-card investment didn't take your normal summon at all, and like, it's made a Crystal Wing, which is very, very much a very good card in this format, but it does so without using your normal summon, and that Crystal Wing is immune to destruction by your opponent's card effects. That's actually really huge. That's actually something that could very well be a potential play for this deck in the future, like an ideal play, because like, having Crystal Wing on the board is absolutely just huge in terms of momentum for your own plays, because it's a beater, it negates effects, it gets over anything with a level, essentially, because like anything that's less than level 5 is not going to usually be able to attack over it, and then anything level 5 or higher that would have the stats to get over it is going to just be punched over it by its effect to boost itself by that attack. All of these different factors come into play. But anyway, I really like these 2 cards. I really like the idea of all of the characters getting their own themed support deck in Arc 5, even though they are very minor characters. I mean, hell, Rin has spent the entirety of this series kidnapped. She's only recently made an appearance, but we are getting the cards for her deck, and that's actually really cool in terms of collectors, in terms of, like, it might be a potentially decent deck, because it is based around burn damage, unfortunately. I say unfortunately just because of this like stigma I have in my mind of all the decks that did burn in the past were like really degenerate. But like, this is a deck that utilizes burn as a form of its comboing engine, so that could be something that could make it decent as well, especially if Cosmos remains in the format. Pretty much burning Cosmos is great because they burn themselves anyway. So they basically do half of your deck's win condition for you. So there's all these different things that could be potential options for when this deck comes out in both the OCG and the TCG. So overall, I'm very curious as to what you guys think about these cards in the comments down below. Let me know what your opinions on them are. I think that they're absolutely fine and great for the first 2 cards that we've seen from this archetype. I hope the other cards that follow suit are just equally as decent, because like, if we get an entire archetype of at least decent cards, then it could at least be something that's potentially playable or combinable with something to make it more playable. Things like that. If the deck is splashable and every card is decent, then it could be combined with something and like do well potentially. Or at least do better than some of the other like flop archetypes of the past. But anyway, like I said, let me know what you guys think about these 2 cards in the comments down below. But other than that, as always guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to all the nonsense you usually do. Links are in the description to my Facebook, Twitch, and a playlist containing all my background music for all the other videos I do. Use all those links to the best of your abilities. If that's something you want to do, if you want to connect with me, chat with me, then definitely go and add me as a friend and like my Facebook fan page. Through both of those links. I lost my train of thought of what I was saying there. But anyway, if you like the video, give it a like. If you think you know some people that might like my content, definitely share the video around. I'm trying to grow the community of my channel's sub base, trying to connect with more people, trying to just basically rush the channel's growth, because I want this channel to get bigger. I want things to potentially improve in the future as well, due to those larger numbers justifying it able to be improved upon. But other than that, that's basically just my entire spiel for the end of these videos. Again, let me know what you guys think about these 2 cards in the comments down below. Really curious about your opinions, and as always guys, take care.